Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to share a few thoughts of mine regarding the Fujifilm X100VI camera. I have had the opportunity to borrow that camera from a very good friend of mine for a couple of weeks. And I just want to start off by saying that of course this video isn't sponsored in any way. I just borrowed the camera. I am sharing my personal thoughts and my honest opinion. I will share my initial thoughts about using this camera, and my goal is to hopefully give someone value that might be interested in this camera. This will be a pretty short video and I won't get too much into depth about details or settings and so on. I am not experienced at all in the Fujifilm universe, so please forgive me if I don't really have the knowledge about the different models and so on, about Fujifilm in general. But at the same time, it was really fun for me to try out something completely new for a while and just to compare it. From my understanding, this particular camera has been really hyped up for several reasons. And since being released earlier this year or in the beginning of this year, it has been really hard to get a hold of a copy. And even now today in Sweden, I do believe that you still have to wait in line. And I don't know if it's about weeks or months, but it's not possible to buy one straight over the disc as of today. And that's for good reasons, it seems. In connection with my birthday, I went on a travel to Costa Rica. You can see, if you would like, a short video montage that I did over here. And this was a travel that I had planned since a long time. So I had really been looking forward to it. And I also thought that this was a perfect opportunity to bring along this camera and to try it out in this exotic environment. And with that said, I think it's time to rewind back time back to William in Costa Rica. Okay, so out here in Costa Rica, I have had the pleasure to trying out the Fujifilm X100VI for a couple of days now. And so far is my experience with this camera very positive. During my few days here, I have been taking a few photos. As you can see here, the sharpness is really on point. The dynamic range as well as the colors straight off of the camera looks beautiful, I think. On some of these photos I have made some smaller adjustments, or I have been using the film simulations. And the film simulations are really fun to use, and I think it's a nice feature and a tool that I haven't used in the past. But yeah, it's fun to play around with. I mostly use the top one, I don't remember the name, but that one can be used for many different occasions and many different type of colors. So that one has been my favorite one so far. The 40 megapixel sensor is a pleasure to use, and it also gives you the possibility to zoom in, which is very appreciated. But if I would have a fixed lens for my camera, I think I would choose a 35 or maybe a 28 millimeters, but the 35 millimeter works great for a fixed lens in my opinion. This camera also slips down easily in your pocket, which makes it the perfect everyday camera. I must say that I'm really impressed about the quality for such a small camera. I never used a Fujifilm before, and I guess that it will take some time for me to get familiar with all of the settings, but so far I think it's easy to use and it's fun to use. This camera is really fun to use. It doesn't have to be complicated, it's small, it looks cool. I have actually got a few compliments about the look of this camera, and yeah, I think it looks cool and kind of retro, and it's also really small and compact, which makes it even more impressive. Worth to keep in mind though is that you need to buy a ring, I think a filter ring and a filter to use on this camera in order to make it weatherproof. I have done that since this place is really moist and humid. But yeah, it is really nice to have a weather sealed camera. So those are some of my short-term thoughts about this camera. And just some final words how this camera compares to the Leica Q, but for that head back to William in Sweden. Oh, and we are back. Okay, so the Leica Q and the Fujifilm X100VI, I do think that in some senses they feel the same purpose as an everyday carry around camera. But at the same time, they are not the same type of camera. The biggest reason for me to own the Fujifilm over the Leica Q would be that it really is your everyday camera to carry around. Unlike the Q, the Fujifilm actually fit in your pocket, and that is a huge thing for me, because it makes it way easier to carry it with you wherever you go. And I did notice during the short days that I used this camera that I did actually carry it around with me a lot more than the Q, just because it was less complicated. They are both fun cameras to use, and they do really encourage you to go out and shoot more, and that is a good thing, and that is just because it's so fun and easy as well to use these cameras. So that's something they have in common. The Leica has the advantage of being even more user-friendly, I do feel, and there is just something about the Leica Q that I can't put my finger on, really. Yes, there is something about the colors and the sharpness to the photos, to the overall look of your photos, but also the camera itself. It just feels like, I do know that both of these cameras are mass produced, but still the Leica Q, for some reason, it feels more personal to me, and it has an handmade feeling over it somehow. And that may not be important at all, of course, it's just something I felt like sharing. So, if I only could choose one out of these two cameras, for me, it would still be the Leica Q. It would be my choice. However, I do think that if you are looking for the perfect everyday carry around camera, I do believe that the Fujifilm X100VI is the best camera out there for that specific purpose. And that is my personal choice based on personal opinion, but I still feel like the Fujifilm X100VI is the ultimate best everyday carry around camera out there that you can find. I think it's the best choice for most people. The quality that this camera produces is on point, and it's really high quality. And for most people, it can serve as, of course, their main camera and their only camera. But if you are a professional, I can really see this camera becoming your second camera and your backup carry around camera. And it will be perfect for that for many pro photographers and videographers as well. So, in short, just high speed now. What do I like and what don't I like about the Fujifilm X100VI? Here we go, high speed. Similar to the Leica Q, more than anything, the Fujifilm X100VI is a fun camera to use. It is fun to use, and I don't know exactly why, just maybe because it's kind of easy to get started at least, and it's just fun to use, and that must be the biggest plus of them all, that you just want to bring it with you and you want to shoot more, and you want to capture more moments and more memories, and just experiment and let your creativity flow. Yeah, that is the biggest plus for me. Number two, the size. It is so easy to carry this camera with you because it's so small and compact. And yeah, it's you will be more discreet in public as well. And just the size is a big plus for me. Then the film simulations. There are lots of ways to customize this camera however you like it. For me, for a camera like this, I would personally choose to keep it as simple as possible. But for those who would like to, there are many gadgets to choose from out there. It's not really something negative necessarily, but it takes some time to fully learn it and master it. The menu system is a bit complicated, especially in the beginning, and if you haven't used a Fujifilm system before, it can be a bit overwhelming and it will take some time to learn everything. But it doesn't have to be complicated if you don't want to. You can just shoot in a kind of a normal mode and you don't have to dive in deep into the settings if you don't want to, so that's good. But if you want to, it can be a bit overwhelming at first. The camera is not weather sealed from the start, however it is possible to make it weather sealed, but that means also more expenses. It can be hard, I think it depends on which country you're in, but it can be hard to get a hold of a copy of this camera. However, there are many nice options, I believe, like to find used copies that are in new condition almost, if that's something that you would like to consider. But it's still hard to still buy this camera after 7-8 months or whatever it is. When researching about this camera in order to learn more before I started to use it, I noticed that quite a few people complain about that there is only one slot for the memory card. Personally, I don't really care about that too much, and it's not something that bothers me personal, so it is not a huge deal for me, but it can be good to know. However, I don't have anything else negative to say about this camera really, so yeah. So I guess that's it. And yeah, I do think that that's all I had to say for today. I hope that you will have a good rest of your day. Take care. Cheers from Sweden. Bye. But for that, I will hand over to William in Sweden. So I have actually gotta go. I have actually gotta. Hello, just filming.
Instagram.
No, yeah, it's.
I try to get you in once. Yeah, I'm coming like that, you know?
Yeah.
Do something, yeah.